Let's get some sleepers, breakouts, and busts in the NFC West right now on Fantasy Football Today Express. And we welcome you. What's going on, everybody? I'm Adam Aizer with Heath Cummings. And Heath, let's start with sleepers in the NFC West, which hopefully will be a high-scoring, super awesome division.
Two of my favorite sleeper quarterbacks in this division, Brock Purdy and Kyler Murray. I expect Purdy's touchdown rate to regress back to what not fully he was before last year, but closer. I think that the 49ers maybe have the worst defense they've had since Purdy was a quarterback, and he will set a career high in pass attempts. And Murray, it just seems like a lot of quarterbacks get boosted up because of their potential upside, and he's not. But there's talk about him running more. He's got the potential of Marvin Harrison delivering on what we hoped he was, and he's dirt cheap. So I'd be very happy to pair Purdy and Murray, and you could probably take them both in the double-digit rounds.
All right. We're going to have a 3-minute show. Yeah, so different than the Dave shows for sure. All right. How about some breakouts?
Yeah, I'm going to talk much longer about these breakout potentials. And I think you have to start with Kyler Murray's number one wide receiver, Marvin Harrison Jr. We didn't think coming into the NFL that Marvin Harrison Jr. could only run up and down the sidelines and catch George Pickens targets. I'm very hopeful that Harrison's going to have some in-breaking routes. It's something he was good at in college. As much as it's kind of like what I've said about DeAndre Swift, as much as Marvin Harrison let us down last year based on our expectations, in terms of his production as a rookie receiver with 880-ish yards and 8 touchdowns, there's a lot of Hall of Fame wide receivers who were worse as rookies than Marvin Harrison Jr. was. So he's certainly a breakout candidate. My second breakout candidate in this division would be Ken Walker. I think Kubiak should be good for the run game efficiency. Walker showed us pass catching potential last year that we didn't really know existed. They have talked all off season about how they want to run the ball more than they did last year. And so if Ken Walker can stay healthy, I would not be surprised if we get a top 6 or 7 season for him in full PPR.
Yeah, these are two guys that give me fits, dude. And Ken Walker, when he and Charbonnet, were both healthy, Ken Walker had 76% of the running back carries. It's a great number. And that is on a team that didn't run the ball that much last year. So they obviously, as Heath just said, they want to run the ball more. The catches, I know he did show that last year, and I wish they would give him the ball more, but he's not going to be their third down back, and he's not going to be their 2-minute drill back, I don't think, or their 4-minute drill back. If things stay the same, that's Charbonnet. So I don't know that he's going to be a big asset in the passing game, but I do think 40 or more catches should at least get that.
Yeah, I think the Kubiak offense will likely throw the ball to the running backs on early downs as well.
Yeah, and he had 46 catches in 11 games, so he took a huge jump there. But I don't know, just some injuries hold him back. Efficiency, he averaged 3.7 yards per carry. They had a bad offensive line last year. Kind of feel like it's going to be a bad offensive line again this year. I do love the opportunity for him. I hope he can convert it. Harrison, I don't like that he gained weight. And, they really didn't scheme anything for him. He had very few catches at or near the line of scrimmage. For a guy who played every game, the amount of easy layups that he had were so low for Marvin Harrison Jr. So, yes, I would like for that to change, but I don't know. I am kind of worried about him long-term and short-term, and I don't know how you feel about the added weight. I don't really like it because I want him to be faster and getting open more.
Yeah, I don't know that they gave him a lot of opportunities to get open last year. There wasn't a lot of, everybody just kind of knew what he was going to do. I don't anticipate that he's going to show up for a 22-year-old gaining 10 pounds. That looks a lot different than you or me putting on 10 pounds.
He looks like David Boston. Remember David Boston? The guy couldn't even fit in his jerseys.
Yeah, I don't think he looks quite that big. But no, I just think it's hard for me, and it could happen. Teams do dumb things. It's hard for me to believe that the guy they drafted 4th overall last year, they're not going to develop a better plan for how to get him involved in open.
Garrett Wilson or Marvin Harrison Jr.?
As of right now, I'll take Garrett Wilson.
Okay.
In full PPR. In non, I'd probably take Harrison.
All right, quick break. That's interesting with Wilson being on the Justin Fields led offense, but
yeah.
More targets, you think, for Wilson?
He doesn't have Trey McBride.
Yeah, he doesn't have anyone. Okay, we'll be right back after this break to talk about busts in the NFC West. All right, we're back on FFT Express. Who's a bust candidate in this division?
So if you're talking bust candidate, I think you have to start with the two older running backs. James Conner has reached an age to where the drop-off could come at any time, and he's got an injury history that makes you leery of that as well. So there's definite bust concern for James Conner, which is why he's going in round 5. The guy who's not, and who's rapidly turning into a guy that we're just going to forget injury history, is Christian McCaffrey. And McCaffrey has a chance to be either a league winner or, for maybe the third time in his career, the biggest injury bust in fantasy. Mm-hmm. So I think those two guys probably are the red flashing lights. If you don't want to consider injury risk, which I wouldn't have any problem with that, I would say my biggest concern is one guy Dave talked about yesterday, and that's Jackson Smith-Njigba. I don't necessarily like that he's going to play outside, and they're giving this most of the slot reps to Cooper Kupp. And I do think that there's at least people get mad when I use a certain percentage. I don't know what the percentage is, but there's a definite chance that Cooper Kupp's as good as he was at the beginning of last year. And if he is, that's a high volume target earner on a team that we just talked about definitely wants to throw the ball more than they have in the past. So the combination of those three things, if Kupp's right, if they throw less, if JSN's playing primarily outside, could really cost him a lot of receptions and make him, I don't think he's going to be worse than a low end number 2, but right now he's being drafted as a top 15 guy.
JSN's top 15.
Or at least he is in our consensus rankings.
Oh, wow. That's very high. I was thinking more like the 2-3 turn for JSN.
No, top 15 at wide receiver.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't mind him playing out wide. I don't want him to necessarily primarily play out wide, but I think he can do it. And there was that one game in his rookie year when DK Metcalf was out, and he had his highest rate of playing outside, and he had his best game of the year. So I wanted to see them use him more outside because his slot rate was insane. Last year, I think it was like 80% or something. So way too high. Let's see, his slot 77.4%. But yeah, I'm a little worried about him too. I'm just worried about Sam Darnold and all that. McCaffrey. You know what's interesting about McCaffrey, Heath? You're gonna steal this from me. It's fine, but I've coined the curse of the number 1 pick. The 3 times that Christian McCaffrey has been a huge injury bust, he's been the number 1 pick in ADP. It won't be this year, so he'll be fine.
That is a good point. And then I think because you wanted me to go a little bit longer,
there's
also 3 guys that I would highlight in this division that I think are just being drafted too low. Okay. And they are Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall, and Kyron Williams. And I think there's way too many doubts about Kyron Williams as a round 2 pick based on what he's done over the last 2 years.
Yeah. And as we said on Fantasy Pros, he's at the 3-4 turn.
Yeah.
Bonkers. Okay, we'll talk to you all tomorrow on Fantasy Football Today Express. See ya.